Hey everyone, this is something very special that I have here. Um, the ceiling fan that you see is something that I've actually been after for a very, very long time, and I never thought that I would find one, but I somehow did. Yeah. So this here is well, we're not exactly sure what it is, but I can tell you I can tell you kind of what it is. This here is a Terra ceiling fan. Um, it was made by the Southern Fan Company of Tyler, Texas. Um, and you may be wondering, if you're familiar with these fans, you may be wondering, well, how did one of these end up all the way over on the East Coast? Because if you know, these were made by a very small company well, they were headquartered in Dallas, but they were manufactured in Tyler, Texas. And they really were only found in the South. They're very, very rarely found outside of the South. I know they were also found in the Midwest sometimes. Um, but yeah, it's very rare to find one outside of Texas. Um, a little bit about Southern Fan Company. Like I said, they were headquartered in Dallas. Manufacturing plant was in Tyler. Um, and Dan Spiffy Newman has a pretty good video on the history of Southern Fan Company, which I'll link in the description. Um, and I'm going to try to get my information right here, and if I don't, of course, um, can refer to his video for other information. But the Southern Fan Company they were actually a storm window company that ventured into the fan business in the summer because, uh, Windows was kind of like I guess that was kind of like a fall type business. I'm not really sure, but they needed a summer business, so somebody from the company had bought a Casablanca Zephyr, and they brought it in and tore it apart and basically said, okay, what can we do to make something like this, but just make it just different enough so that they can sell it, and call it something different. Um, so that's what they did. I think they originally used Bethlehem steel for the metal parts, and then they moved on to a company in Minnesota later. Um, they used GE stack motors originally, but then they later switched to Emerson K55 ones. They also were originally used flywheels directly from Casablanca, um, but then afterwards, when Casablanca stopped selling their flywheels to everybody, they just used the generic ones. Um, and their marketing was they were marketed as their whole like marketing, I guess, scheme was with Gone with the Wind, um, because the plantation from Gone with the Wind, if you remember, was called Terra. So that was their whole marketing development for these fans. Um, they had several safety issues, unfortunately, which is part of the reason why they're so rare these days. For one, you'll notice that the nose is a lot smaller than on, like, say, a Casablanca, and that was actually designed so that the light kit would match, like, more closely in size rather than, say, a Casablanca, which has the giant nose. And you can see here with this one, which does have a light kit, it does match pretty well. But that meant that if there was no light kit and the flywheel broke, the blades would often come crashing to the floor because there was no nose that would stop the ring from the flywheel from falling down. If there's a light kit on it like this, the light kit would stop it. But if there was no light kit, yeah, they often fell to the floor. Um, but yeah, the flywheels were a safety issue. On top of the motor, the bracket that it mounts the down rod onto the motor, that was made of plastic. Now, in retrospect, that was meant to make the fans quieter and isolate vibrations. They didn't really think that one through because over time the plastic gets brittle with age and cracks and breaks, and then the fans come crashing to the floor. Um, so yeah, they had. See, the blade arm design is very interesting, as you can see. The blade arms, they're actually the exact same as the ones Deal used back in their antique fans, like in the 20s, I think, or something like that. Um, and they were actually, they say that the design was at least the Southern Fan Company design was modeled after some design of a gate hinge that somebody had seen in New Orleans. So I'm not sure if that's true or not, since Deal used the exact same design, or maybe Deal also saw the same gate hinge. I don't know. So yeah, they also had ornate models with an ornate faceplate that looked almost actually kind of similar to those. What were those? I think they're Westinghouse models or something like that, with like the little like the leafy pattern almost. They're pretty cool. They had cane blades as well, and stencil blades also offered. They were the blades and motors were sold differently as far from what I can remember. I think so. Like they had different combinations of blades and motors that you could get, and different finish combinations as well. So like you could have a plain sideband. You could have they had a wood grain sideband actually as well. That's pretty cool. Um, it was just like a metal with a vinyl, like wood grain, fake vinyl stuck around it. Oh, the canopy. The canopy, as you can see, is very different from a traditional bell canopy. Like say this here. It's much larger. It's kind of more like squared off. It's weird. I'll show it to you up close later, but it's very strange. It's a very cool design. The vents they're kind of like extended GE vents almost. They're like U-shaped, and they're actually the exact same vents as those old Toastmaster belt-driven ceiling fans. Those are the only other ones that we know of that use these vents. So, yeah, the fan is controlled by the variable speed. There's actually that giant wooden knob you see on the side of the nose. There's no pull chain, so there's an off position on the speed control, and it's a solid state cardboard box control in there. And that was designed so that if you wanted to mount the control on the wall, you could just take it out and put it in the box in the wall. And they offered a wooden plug that would go over the hole where the speed control would go for that, if you wanted to have that option. So, yeah. Now, this particular fan, I know I'm going to get into turning the fan on in a minute. There's a lot of information here. This particular model is not an actual Southern Fan Company labeled model. Now, the reason for that is obviously because I'm way outside of Texas. I'm nowhere near the area where these would be common. Southern Fan Company sold a number of these to be relabeled, actually, by different companies. One of these companies was called Corbett Lighting, which was headquartered in Dallas as well, so that says a lot there. And their model name for their fans was Calcutta, and a lot of those have been found. Now, those have tags on the side of the sideband, just like the Southern Fan Company ones do. The Southern Fan Company ones always had a metal tag on the side of the sideband that said Southern Fan Company, Terra, such and such. And so did the Corbett Lighting ones. This one lacks any sort of tag on the side. So, this one was probably an American Lantern labeled one. Now, American Lantern was a company from Arkansas that, apparently, from what I understand, they sold fans as far as Alaska and as low as, I don't know, probably Florida. I don't know. I don't really know that much about American Lantern. I don't know if they had any distributors here, but obviously they had to have. This one ended up here, so yeah. I guess that's just a little story about Southern Fan Company and its relationships with other companies. So yeah, this one is most likely an American Lantern relabel. It has all the characteristics of the regular Southern Fan Company model. The GE motor, the plastic bracket. Yeah. So I guess we'll go ahead and turn the fan on high now. First, let me turn this light kit off. The light kit is not original. Well, I mean, it's original since when I got the fan, but it's newer than the fan is. Turn the fan on high. And these originally would have come with a very ornate nose cap, actually, that was embossed with a little T for Terra. Moving the camera all over the place here. That's better. But yeah, this one, if this one had its nose cap, I guess that would identify who labeled this one. Yeah, I'm basically 99% sure this one's an American Lantern labeled one. So that's high speed. Now these fans, another thing that they marketed these as being having like a what's the word I'm looking for? A the something that they beat out Casablanca on was that they advertised that their blades were, I think, 14 degrees. They had 14-degree blade pitch or 15-degree blade pitch, something like that. But the blade pitch was a lot steeper than standard. Casablanca, I think, only had they were only doing 12 degrees at the time. So with that strong motor and those extra pitched blades, they were, marketed as being better air movers. And it definitely is a very good air mover. I'm feeling a lot of air from this one. I would love to install this one somewhere. I'm going to back it off like a quarter of a turn. Actually, more like an eighth of a turn. It's a nice, like, medium-high speed. The blades themselves do sometimes vibrate for some reason. I don't know why. Everything is tight up there, so. Yeah, you see what I mean? But then they stop. So that's a good medium. It's a pretty good medium low there. And I have to say, the plastic bracket does actually do a very good job of isolating the vibrations. Unless, I mean, the motor is just naturally quiet, because it is, I mean, stack motors are known for being very quiet. I think we're almost getting down to low speed territory. That's like medium low. Okay, that's low. It doesn't wobble as bad on the higher settings. On low, for some reason, it just wobbles perfectly so that pull chain swings around in a circle. So yeah, that's as slow as it goes. I didn't adjust the low speed trim or anything. I'm guessing that's factory. It's actually pretty decent, honestly. It's a pretty good restaurant low. Very quiet. I'm still feeling a little bit of a breeze, actually, which is pretty good. Alright, I'm gonna turn it back up to high. It's up to speed. Spin down. Something tells me this one's going to have a pretty quick spin down. Yep, those bearings are a little bit stiff. I might run it for a little while today, see if I can't loosen them up. I can't. I mean, it was hanging when I got it, or like when I got it before I got it, it was hanging. So I don't know if it had been used. So we'll reverse it. Now the reverse switch on these is on the vent. It's inside of the vent right here, similar to like a Fasco. Start it up on low. Wobble isn't as bad. At least, maybe I spoke too soon. It looks like it's, yeah, it's about the same actually. Okay. I do a quarter of a turn. Okay, that might be a little worse. I spent a long time balancing this one. I really wanted this one to be as balanced as possible. Okay, yeah, that's high. Well, I'll turn the light kit on for you. It's running high and reverse with the light kit. 3 of those 4 bulbs are original, by the way, or at least came with it. One of them was burned out. All right. Give you guys an up-close view of this one. So, there's that big wooden variable speed knob. I love this design. It's so cool. It matches the blades like exactly. I think it's the exact same type of wood. I think this is walnut. I'm not positive on that. It might be teak. I don't know my woods. But yeah, so it's a light kit. Like I said, not original to the fan at least. The shades are very cool. I love these shades actually. Definitely keeping those. So the characteristics that these fans always have is those arch end blades. Those blade arms that are apparently designed from a gate hinge. Now I think this one does have a Casablanca flywheel. I'm not 100% sure. Let's see. Well, it's different from that one, so I don't know. I can't tell. I don't have any like older K63 Casablanca, so if this is one of the ones they use, I wouldn't know. So yeah, the U-shaped vents, and the reverse switch is right here, like at the top of the vent. Now, like I said, there's no tag on the side of the motor housing. It would normally be right here, I think. There's a crease right there. Or on the other side. That's it. I can't even find it. Right there. There's the crease. It would be right here over the crease of the side band. So there'd be there'd like a screw hole there for it to fit into. Yeah, so the nose has this residue. I'm not sure what the deal with that is. I tried cleaning it off, but I don't know what that's for. There's your canopy, which is, like I said, different from the regular bell canopy. And you can see it's a lot larger, and the bottom edge here is like squared off or flattened. It's not rounded. And this part is actually like more conical, or not conical, but cylindrical rather than conical actually. And then it goes into the conical portion up there. So yeah, it's very cool. And then there's that plastic motor mounting bracket that I mentioned. You can replace these K63 brackets fit and Fanimation Islander brackets fit, but I don't have either of those. So yeah, and then the top plate is of course identical to the bottom plate. Um, yeah, so I don't know if there's anything else left to say about this one. Other than this is a very cool fan. I'm very happy to have this, and I, once again, am in shock that I found this one still. So, that is the Terra ceiling fan by American Lantern or Southern Fan Company. So, yeah, thank you for watching, and more to come.